welcome to Touched by Grace. I'm sitting here with Rachel, and we're going to be able to hear her story about what the Lord has done in her life. And we want to start with just a little background, and we're talking about just the grace of God touching somebody's life. And specifically, we're going to be doing a series understanding the difference between Mormonism and Christianity. And we want to ask some of those things because your background is LDS. Where'd you grow up, and what was your family like when you grew up, Rachel?
I grew up in Southeast Idaho, and I was raised LDS my whole life.
So your family, your mom and dad, they're sealed in the temple?
They were later.
They were later?
Yeah.
Not
when I was growing up, but as I was an adult, yeah. But we always attended. We were always active, always.
So you went through primary, you went to mutual.
I did.
You did all the stuff.
I did.
And did you go on a mission?
I did not.
No, you didn't go on a mission. And so how many brothers and sisters do you have?
Five brothers and sisters, yep.
And did some of them go on a mission?
Yep, I had two brothers that did.
They went on a mission. And so you're older, you get out of high school, and then you get married to somebody that is also a Mormon.
I did, a returned missionary.
A returned missionary. And so that's the goal of all
It is.
young little Mormon girls that, hey, they're going to marry the returned missionary, right? Their
That's
knight in
right.
shining armor.
That's right.
And so tell me about that. Did you get married and then later get sealed in the temple? Or
a year after.
A year after. So how long had he been back from the mission field?
Oh, about 5 years.
When you got married? Okay.
So it wasn't right after.
Yeah. But then a year goes by and you're going to be sealed in the temple. So you've got to get your temple recommend.
I did.
So explain to me how the temple recommend works.
How it works.
Yeah.
You just have to comply by, certain commandments, obviously the 10 commandments, but in addition to that, your 10% tithe, and not smoking, not drinking, obeying the word of wisdom, basically, keeping your body clean.
And attendance at ward for a year. It's all about a year, right? The temple recommends.
Yeah, to live up to those laws for about a year, to make sure that it's something that you're serious about.
And so when did both of you mutually want to do this, one more than the other, or what is the expectation of your families? How's all of that feel? Hey, we're going to go to get sealed in the temple. Is there just excitement on your part or pressure from the family? Or kind of explain to me what, emotionally and what you're thinking about?
Not a lot of excitement on my part, mostly just the way that we were raised, both of us and our families. And I think it was more a reflection of kind of our commitment to our families. And it was me more pushing than it was him, because he had a lot of problems with the word of wisdom and such, and he was an alcoholic. So it was a lot of, really working at it. But it was me more pushing because I wanted my family to be solid.
So it was more of a struggle for him because you've got to get in compliance with these certain things to do that. And so you get your recommend and you go to the temple. Can you kind of walk me through what happens? What happens when you go to the temple, and what are the things that kind of unfold there?
Well, due to the fact that was probably 16 or 17 years ago when I was really young, a lot of it has been gracefully removed from my mind, because I remember being in fear the whole time I was there, just of the unknown. This is not spoken about too much, just that it's going to be beautiful and sacred. But to tell you the truth, I was just scared the whole time, seeing people in clothes I'd never seen and things like that. And I tried to be close to the Spirit because I knew, I still felt that I was in God's house because I knew that it was sanctified for that. I really truly believed that, because I think the people that are there are good people, and I think they want good things for their lives and their family. And it was quiet, and it was clean, and it was beautiful, but at the same time, it was overwhelming because I didn't know things that were going to be said or done. So, and I was just told that it would feel that way. It would feel overwhelming, but the more I went, the more I would understand. And I got sealed to my husband. That's the only time we attended together. And then after that, I only went 2 or 3 times by myself. And I chose to go by myself and not with somebody else, just so I could pray with my Heavenly Father and not, feel like I had to be with somebody. I needed to do it by myself.
So I know that you get a guide. You can take somebody you really trust, like a family member or something, or you can just have a guide. Did you choose somebody to go with you or just you received the guide that was available?
I received a guide that was available.
Okay. And they walk you through the handshakes, and you get a new name and those kinds
Which I
of
don't
things.
remember.
Which you don't remember?
No.
You don't remember the new name?
Oh, it's so scary and overwhelming. You're supposed to remember everything. I'm like, what was that again?
You don't remember all the secret handshakes?
No.
No. And you're not going through it together as a husband and wife. You're in the building together, but you're doing things kind of separately as you go through the process, right?
When you go, when you're sealing, you're together. Yes, when you go do endowments for other people, no, you wouldn't be together because the female's doing them for a female and the man's doing them for a man. Okay.
So afterwards, you said you didn't have a lot of expectation going towards it. So afterwards, what were your thoughts after just the thought, oh, we're going to be married forever, we're sealed. Was it like, whew, that's over, we got that out of the way, or was it more like, oh, that was uplifting or wonderful, or on the backside of it, what was kind of the uplift or the letdown?
To tell you the truth, when I walked out of there, I was just confused about all that happened and overwhelmed. But then again, I was only, 21 years old. And we didn't really leave and talk too much about it. And I just left with a lot of questions. And
did it create more questions than it answered?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely.
So did you ask anybody about those questions? If you and your husband didn't talk about it, or did you just kind of let it just...
I think I kind of brought it out later on down the road about how it was just strange and foreign. But, just like he and my mom would say, just keep going and it'll be easier and you'll understand more the more you go.
And so let's now fast forward within like the last year of you coming to the Lord we would just describe it in a traditional New Testament Christian sense, coming to church here, what has changed here? You've had your entire life growing up LDS, you've had all of this history. Obviously, when you go through the temple, your family's very proud of you, and you're sealed, and you're good to go. You're accepted. You're not a black sheep of the family. You've done what you need to do, and so there's a lot of acceptance. But tell me what has happened over these last few years of transition. Explain what's went on in your life.
Well, divorce after 13 years to returned LDS missionary, and due to the alcoholic behavior, and there was still longing to have that eternal family, because that's all I knew, and I felt like I was being gypped of that. But anyway, I fell away from everything for a while, I think, as people do sometimes, and then there was still that longing. Not sure if you want me to tell you the story about me and Kevin. Cut.
Yeah. No, you just tell me the story. We're here to hear the story. And anything we want to cut, we'll cut later. I want you to share your heart with me.
Okay.
Every person's story, I'm always excited about their story and what the Lord does in their life.
Yeah.
And so
it is exciting.
Yeah, so tell me about that.
It is exciting. Well, in 1990, I went back to Missouri to meet my birth father. And there's not a big Mormon population at all. I think in my school of 3,000, there was about 3 or 4 LDS people, active LDS people. And my parents made sure that I was, my adopted parents made sure that my bishop was aware of what school I was going to, and they lockered me with an LDS girl and everything. And, we didn't connect or anything, and I didn't go to LDS church. I think I asked my father if he'd go, and, that was I'm not going to go to that place. And I still longed for that, the people and the closeness to Heavenly Father. And so I met a friend, and she had a church group, and I started going to just a Christian-based church, meeting at Wednesday nights, study the Bible, hang out with friends, and, just eat snacks and everything. And then...
How old were you then?
I was 15.
Okay, you're 15.
Yeah, and that's where I met Kevin, and he was a good friend. And anyway, I kept him in my heart for a long time. I moved back to Idaho from Missouri, and after I realized I wasn't like my dad at all. And I just never left him out of my heart. And because he was at such a young, tender age, he was so close to the Lord. And I thought, now, he's not LDS, and he knows nothing about the LDS background. And I didn't share that with any of my friends, because I wanted to know more. I wanted to reach outside of what I'd always known. Yeah. And it was just so fun. These kids were they still experienced crazy things, but they were a little bit more mature. And he was close to the Lord, yet he was just a typical teenager. Mm-hmm. And it was just fun to watch him and be around him and all of our group of friends. Well, after I graduated high school, I thought about him, and I went back to Missouri. I actually flew back there to see my friends and everything. And anyway, that, it didn't turn out to be anything, but I always kept him in my heart. Married a returned missionary, because that's
what you're supposed to do.
That's what you're supposed to do, And back in my hometown, there was no Christian groups like that. Mm-hmm. And I just thought, well, maybe, I'm just supposed to stick with the LDS thing, and that didn't pan out. And so after my divorce, I had kind of prayed a little bit about what to do, and there was never any really strong answers. But every, 6 months, I would think about Kevin for some reason. His name would come to my mind, like, whatever, that we were 15, we were just kids. Yeah. And then after, I was dating a guy who didn't know the Lord at all. And I finally went, and right before I was going to marry him, I was like, what am I doing? So I prayed about it. And Kevin's name came to my mind. And I thought, what? No, I'm not going to do anything, So go on the internet, I can't find him there. And sure enough, 6 months from my supposed wedding date, and I just kept getting I don't think this is right. And I asked him if he would, learn and study with me and study the scriptures with me. And he just turned off to that. And I said, I can't do this. I can't go through this again. My children need to know the Lord and have a strong household. So, and then once again, Kevin's name came to my mind, and I just, whatever. So I went onto Facebook, and there he was with 2 kids, 2 beautiful kids side by side with him. And I just said,
and he had also went through a divorce, or...
Well, so I got...
Okay, I'm getting ahead of the story. I'm sorry. You tell us the story.
So I just quick message, just, where you been? Mm-hmm. What are you doing? It's been so many years, and I just thought about you and wondered how you are. I didn't see a wife in the picture, and I saw single on the thing, so I thought, well, then I'm not breaking up, Mm-hmm. And that's why I didn't ever contact him before, because I didn't want to, bother any relationships. And so we just started a connection on starting writing back and forth. I, quit seeing the other guy when we started talking about church and how, we had all these goals for our families and kids, and how our lives didn't turn out the same. And actually, we were living parallel lives on the opposite side of the United States. And it's kind of the way it went. And we just started talking about that and what we wanted for our kids, how we wanted just a strong foundation for, a husband and wife, and for the kids to grow up in the Lord and in the Word and in the Scriptures. And it just went from there. And he came out on blind faith, and we were married, and it's been almost 3 years, and it's awesome. It's hard, but it's awesome. And we started coming to Calvary. I wanted to know about the LDS Church, and I wanted him to know how I was raised, and I wanted to know how he was raised. So
you went on a big search for 3 years? Is that what happened? Or?
we actually went LDS for quite a while. Mm-hmm. And he was actually baptized LDS, but still had a lot of questions. Mm-hmm. And we moved, bought a house, and we just started studying, and a friend of mine mentioned Calvary. And I said, well, Kevin, it's time for us to go kind of see how you were raised, and a non-denominational Christian. Yeah. And my friends at work had told me about it. So I said, well, let's go. You learned about mine, and we still have a lot of questions, and we're struggling to really want to get in the Word and study. So we came out, and I haven't been back to LDS Church in a year. I just feel like I'm jumping ahead of myself, but it's exciting. When I went to church with the LDS, great people, really good people, there was always something missing. It was hard to sit that long and hear testimonies of young children that didn't make me happy. I didn't know if I, wanted my kids to go up and bear testimonies of things that they didn't know yet or things they hadn't experienced yet. So I came here, and at first it was really over. Just, I'm not used to the big music and everything, and I just had a hard time to start with. But then, I went again, and then before I knew it, I was just so into the music and the words, and just finally found, just felt like I found Jesus somewhere I needed to be. Mm-hmm. That's my story.
That's my story. So how long have you been coming to the church? You said like maybe a year.
Just coming on a year. Yeah. So I did the Christmas play. And, because I've always loved the drama part of it and the music. I just was so into the music. So I said, what am I? I got to come and just do the music. And I just felt like I didn't want to leave. Every time we were done with rehearsal, because right then and there we didn't have, we were closing out the outside world. We were in our own little temple of sorts. But it was a comfortable place to be.
Yeah. And so tell me the difference. Can you put into words here you've went to Ward your whole life. Mm-hmm. And you've went through the temple ceremonies.
Yeah.
And not only being sealed in your first marriage in the temple, but then you went a couple of times after that in the temple.
I did.
And then just your what happened on the inside of you or in your thinking as the Lord's working. You're coming to church, you're hearing the music, you're hearing the Bible taught, which is very different from word ceremony. You have a lot of testimonies, and but there's nobody that just teaches the Bible like kind of our style of things are.
It's definitely not style, but
it's different.
It's different. They bring up scriptures and things and stories, of course.
Yeah. More testimonies or stories. And and now do you sense a greater joy? You sense a greater peace in your walk with Jesus? How can you put into words the contrast? Because there is a contrast that happens in people's lives. How would you describe that?
There's just so much. It's in my head right now as you were asking me. Just the difference between, being in sacrament meeting. I knew, that at times the Spirit touched me. I know that, but coming to Calvary, I just felt like I'd never been taught the Bible the way that you were teaching it to us. You were speaking in layman's terms in ways I can understand. And, growing up LDS, you're taught to, stick to the certain King James Version, which was always really hard for me to understand. And then my husband introduced to me the NIV version and the Message version, and this is really, I can understand this, and then coming out to service in the way that you teach it, and it's on the screen, and it's not only audio, but it's, video, and, it draws a picture in your mind, and I feel like it's just the way I can understand, and I connect more, and I almost feel like I was gypped of the Bible. a lot. A lot of the stories in the Bible, I only knew a few, and now I'm knowing a lot, and I actually want to read my scriptures now, where before I didn't have a desire.
And what's going on with obviously you and Kevin are coming to church together. You're both on the same page.
Yeah.
The kids are coming.
Yeah.
And you have the Brady
They
bunch.
like it.
You have 4 children. He has 2.
Yeah, we bring 5. The oldest one's already off and working, so we have 5, and they love coming. Before it was, I just draw this little picture for you of what our household looked like on Sunday morning compared to now. It's like, hurry, get up, get breakfast, comb your hair. No, comb it that way. Don't comb it that way. You can't comb it up that way. You got to put your tie on. Come here, we're going to have Dad help you do your tie. No, I don't know where your shoe is. Just this big uproar. And then we're supposed to show up to church and be like,
yes, all together.
just so perfect.
We're
so together, and we're on our way to the temple, and we're doing all the things we're supposed to do. But by the time we got home from church, I was just like exhausted. And I remember my husband when first came out and we got married, and we were studying LDS, and we were delving a little bit into what he had learned and everything. And he'd say, "Now, why do I have to wear a white shirt to church?" Like, well, it's just kind of a way, it's just kind of put together. It's just kind of what we do. And then Zane, I'm like, bud, you got to, I made him cut his hair, which he's more handsome with short hair. But, there was just ways that I, would make him dress a certain way.
You have to conform.
I did. Yeah. I conformed my husband.
Well, there's pressure not only for you because you know what's expected, right? This is what's expected. You're not going to wear pants to ward on Sunday morning, right?
No.
So the expectation, and so you said, let me paint you a picture. So paint the picture as it's different now as you come to Calvary, since you said it's fun, the family looks forward to coming, and it's different.
Because before it was, it's Sunday, no. You'd hear the kids say, no, and then the teenagers, I don't want to go, And now then we started doing a little Calvary, and I'm reading a book, and I'm sure you've heard of it, the Robertson Out of Mormonism. I'm reading that book right now. I picked it up in the bookstore, and I just kind of feel like I'm living that story right now. But the way it is when we go to church now, it's, it used to be, are we going to Mormon or are we going to Calvary? And then,
because there was a time where it was in.
Yeah, we were doing both. We were showing the kids the difference, because I still want my kids to choose for themselves. I really do. I want them to find a relationship with the Lord no matter, what building that you go into, and I want you to study about Christ and the things that he did and everything. But for a while it was in between. We'd say, well, we'll drop you off at LDS. I'm going to Calvary. And they kind of rebelled. My daughter, from my first marriage kind of rebelled. And why are we going there? And what is this? And what religion is that anyway? Do I tell people we're Christian now? So we're still kind of in that process. But now we just automatically come here. And on Sunday mornings, they get up and they get in their polo shirt and their nice pants, and my daughter can, wear her jeans and put her funny little hat on, and nobody questions it anymore. And they just go. And I just said, if you don't want to go, I'm not going to push you. And I'm headed over to Calvary. I'm ready to sing praise. I'm ready to learn about the Lord, And then I just feel like they just followed me, and here we are. This is what we're doing. So.
That's awesome.
It's exciting. It's good.
Yeah, it's exciting.
It's good.
And so, so just in that, you guys have really been on an adventure. You've been on a journey.
Yeah, we have.
For these last few years, because Kevin and his background of growing up in a non-denominational atmosphere, then joining you at Mormon Ward, cutting his hair, putting his white shirt and tie.
Well, he has no hair, but okay. He's bald, so he didn't have to worry about that.
Okay.
He just had to put a white shirt on.
Okay. I thought you said you talked about...
My son. My new son.
His son. Okay. All right. So I thought that was Kevin. No, it's...
my new son.
All right. So, and you went through that journey, and, Kevin would have to share his experience, because that's quite a contrast coming from that. And then for you guys coming back here. And if there's one thing that you can say that you have today inside of you that you didn't have, say a year ago, or before the transition is kind of complete, what would that be? How could you define what is going on in Rachel's life today that wasn't there a year or two ago?
Well, the first thing that I can think of is joy.
Joy.
Joy because you don't have to drag me to come. Last night it was, we got to hurry and get these shoes and get out of the mall because I want to go to service. Mm-hmm. I really want to go, you know, and I never wanted to before. I kind of had to be drug. And now it's a longing to know him and to feel him. I always feel like I could hear the whisperings of the Spirit, but now I just feel like I'm learning more about Christ and have a little bit more solitude and just excitement in my heart, just excitement.
Solitude, do you mean like a peace or a tranquility kind of that's going on? So.
There's nothing really to question. There's nothing, I think the thing that sticks out to me right now because of some things that I'm learning or reading are, I don't know how to word it. Trying to think how it said in the book. It's like, it's simple. Mm-hmm. There's no secret meanings behind anything that I'm reading. It's just there, and it's plain and simple. And there's nothing really for me to question, like, did these things really happen? Well, yes, because there's literature, there's artifacts.
There's historical evidence. It's just overwhelming, really.
And it's exciting, and it doesn't feel like my mind's in a whole bunch of different directions thinking about Relief Society to primary to how I'm dressing to how I need to get this done all the time. It's just plain and simple. It's just the Bible and Jesus and fellowship.
That's our thing.
That's kind of it. It's just a basic thing. It's not confusing.
Tell me, since this last year and what's transpired in your life, and has there been a reaction from your family, from the expectations of who you were in the past, and now you're going to that other place? What's going on there?
That place.
Yeah. Well, we're kind of known as that place. You know, you're not going there.
No,
okay.
No, I never heard that before.
Oh, that's good.
No.
Yeah.
I invited my mom out to the Christmas play.
Oh, you were in it.
I was in it.
Yeah.
And my kids were in it.
Yeah.
My son was the break dancer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that was your.
That's my boy.
Boy, what a talented.
He's awesome. He's amazing. So that's a good time to be able to go to church and break dance. But anyway.
You can't do it at all churches. Just no.
So that was a good thing for our family. Brought us together. But invited my mom and my brother and his wife. They came out, and it was way different from my mom. She's never been in any other church building
than an LDS church.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. So I knew it would be different, but it was kind of just my way of saying, "Hey, we've been going here, and
this is it. What do you think?
This is it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she came, and I could sit. What
was her reaction?
Yeah. She just was kind of quiet. Yeah, that was neat.
Interesting.
That was neat, and then she says, "So was that your pastor then that was talking?" I said, "Yeah, that's Pastor Rick." And she said, "Oh, so so what does he do for a living?"
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, baptisms, talking to people, helping people, pretty much running a church." She said, "Oh." And I knew that was kind of a reaction I was going to get.
Yeah.
I kind of expected that, and
yeah.
I've still expected a lot of things, and there's I've already got a few phone calls from Mom, "Are you still going to that Lutheran church, Rachel?" And said, "Mom, it's a Bible-based church. We talk about Jesus. It's plain and simple." And there's nothing to question, and don't worry about me, Mom, I'm okay, you know. And she's still worried about me and putting my name in the temple and things like that. And, you know, that's great. You know, she has her own.
That's where she's at.
That's where she is. Yeah. That's totally where she is.
The brothers and sisters, similar kind of.
My brothers and sisters?
Yeah, your brothers and sisters.
They're all fine. My brother came to the play, and he thought it was jamming, thought it was awesome. And his wife said, my sister comes to this church. I like it here. I said, you should come. Come out to service. They live clear in Rexburg, so I keep waiting for a Calvary Chapel to get started over there.
There is one in Rexburg.
There is where?
Yeah, it's right in the...
I didn't know that. Who's the pastor?
Mark Polson's the pastor.
Okay.
And he's like a fifth-generation Mormon that gave his life to Christ about 20 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And he was sealed in the temple and all those things. So he's right in his element in Rexburg. And they have about, 60 people coming to church in that...
Wow.
Do you know where it used to be the, it's not the Hard Hat Cafe, where it's like a strip mall there.
Yeah.
And that's where Calvary Chapel of Rexburg is.
That's where they meet.
Yeah. And so, anyway, so those are the things that you do expect when you come out, you know, family reaction and those things.
That.
But the thing that's really consistent when God touches people by grace is that there's a joy and there's a peace and there's an excitement about Jesus, and not church, so to speak, or organized things. It's about Jesus, and then all of the Jesus people that are as excited about him as I am, kind of thing, like being involved with the play and those things. And so it's great to actually be excited about a Sunday morning.
Yeah.
Be excited, and your kids. And
we're going to Calvary?
Yeah.
Yay! And I feel the same way. I'm going to Calvary. Yay! And it used to be, when we first started coming, I kind of sat back because I wanted to observe. And now I want to be right up front. No interruption.
Yeah. No distractions.
No distractions.
Yeah.
I'm just right there and I'm in it. And, you know, I hate to walk out the doors.
Yeah.
I don't like to walk. I want to work there. I love it there.
Well, we always have opportunities and positions come up, so you just keep
nurse,
praying.
do you school nurse? No.
Well, thank you for sharing, Rachel, how God has touched you by his grace, and just look forward to seeing what the Lord's going to do in you and Kevin's life in these coming years.
Yeah, me too.
Thank you.
Thank you.